Hello and happiest of days to you folks. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazingly awesome day today. One of the best you've ever had in your entire life for you folks, right? All up and down the blocks. So basically today I'm doing my review of the final short story. Let me see what's published. It's called The Sorcerer's Dream. It's by Brian Lumley, and this collection it's about 10 pages long. It took me about 20 minutes last night for me to knock it out for you folks. It was published in 1979 in a short story collection called Whispers for you folks. And so basically what's happening here in The Sorcerer's Dream is that this is kind of like the Cthulhu's and a couple of other ones too, like the Immortal one too, and the Cthulhu one that we saw. I think it's called the Cthulhu Tapestries or something like that. Look it up, repeat right name for folks. It is the House of Cthulhu. For your folks, it's set in that trilogy of worlds that's set back in the old time of more of a sword and sorcery take, kind of a Robert E. Conan take, and that sort of a thing, to on the Cthulhu Mythos. Now, the Cthulhu Mythos was created in pulp era by H.P. Lovecraft, and he initially brought in a lot of his things right back and forth and kept that stuff going. And then, from things like Cthulhu to the Necronomicon and that sort of a thing too. And then he started to bring in other people, like Clark Ashton Smith, and other stuff too. And then he encouraged them to take some of his stuff and make them theirs too. And people like Robert E. Howard, who created Conan and was the father of sword and sorcery and stuff like that too. So you can check out all this stuff, and that sort of a thing too. Now, Brian Lumley was reading this stuff back in the second and third generations. After Lovecraft dies in 1937, he sort of August Derleth will take over, and he'll start editing Arkham House that he will found with some other folks like Donald Wandry and some other stuff like that too, in order to keep the Lovecraft dream alive, and also republish some other stuff that were published in the pulp era, just republishing and keeping it current, right? Sort of a thing too. Now, Brian Lumley will start writing to August Derleth has in about 10 years prior to this, when he's publishing this and publishing some more short stories too. And then after that, he'll put them on the map in a major way. Then he will start to write novels like the Necroscope series that put him on the map in a major way too, right? But yeah, so basically what's happening here, as this is the end of that series. It tells the end of that story and that sort of a thing too. That three story that start with the house. So basically, what's happening here is that we have a sorcerer who's living in the past, who is trying to figure out what's happening. He has come across some unknown things. And that sort of a thing too. So basically, he sees that his buddy, his guy that he reaches out to, and this is the protagonist of the House of Cthulhu, had tried to raid the house and then sort of and home of Cthulhu, and it didn't work. And he's now a zombie, so he finds out who this person's information was with dreams, and that forces him to go out and go into more and more darker dreams. And then somebody's going to tell him to see the beginning and the end of that sort of a thing. And then the end will be the end of his story, and then the end of the collection, which makes sense too. All right. There's you definitely see that too. All up and down the block. Well, basically what happens here, if you recall back when I was in college in my as a junior, I read a bunch of these short stories, a 3-volume collection of all Cthulhu Mythos, of all the main stuff that were solo written by H.P. Lovecraft. This first were horror, second were fantasy and inner dreamlands, and then the third were Cthulhu Mythos. Now, I read was 96, 97. I'm sorry, 95, 96. I was about 20. And I loved it, and he actually became my favorite author, and I read a bunch of stuff. And back then I was reading a few Cthulhu Mythos collections here and there for you folks, and I probably read a few short stories by Brian Lumley, but not that many, and so I thought it would be nice to pick up this volume, the Haggopian and Other Stories for you folks. I want to get to you in the description below. But basically for my October, I like to dedicate to the Mythos too, all up in a box. I probably read like maybe 1,000 of these short stories, and that sort of a thing too over the past 25 years, 30 years actually now. Sorry, that's 2025. That's been 29 years. You get the idea. But basically, so you can check it out. Stuff, and I'll open the box for you folks. But then, so I've definitely have been encountering some of his stuff, and then he was a fan too. So we have that in common for you folks. But basically, so I feel like this is a great ending. You know, he actually says in the intro to the previous one that he thought that this was a better ending to his collection, although the previous one, Black Recalled, was probably a better ending to that story, right? And I think you'll like this lot. It's good stuff since it was the ending to the Crow character. But basically, I like it. I thought it was fun. I think it's a good ending. It's nice and fast. You won't take much of your time. So we're going to give it an 8.5 because I love this. And that is this one, the Sorcerer, Dead Dreams, and that sort of a thing too. But check it out. Let me know what your thoughts are too. Love lots to hear what's your sort of thoughts. Remember, I'm just a fan, right? Like here, I'm not coming to you from a place of expertise because I don't read or critic literature, right? And I didn't even study like English in college, right? Except for a random class in creative writing because I wanted to be a writer, but I clearly was not a talented writer. Right? I'm more of a non-prose writer, like in the non-fiction side of things, with things like Magic, The Gathering, and stuff like that too, or other games that I review. Right? But that's basically it, right? So I'm not gonna, right? And so again, we're just fans, right? So let's check it out and have that interesting thing happening for you folks. And so let me know but try to keep it waterproof like I did too. But there you go. And so you can check that stuff out for you all up and down the block. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below too. As you can, I do 3 of these reviews a week of these older things from by authors like Brian Lumley, or Clark Ashton Smith, or Robert E. Howard, or somebody named H.P. Lovecraft. So you can check that stuff out too. And then in fantasy, science fiction, and horror, right, all up and down the block for you folks. I can also, and then so you can check out those. Also do reviews on Wednesday of older video games, some Let's Plays here and there too, on Saturday serials, movie serials, and then on Monday tabletop RPGs and war games too. So you check out all those things too, right? All up and down the box. So if those things were just a Cthulhu Mythos, or just Brian Lumley stuff, right? If any of that sounds like something that you would be interested in the pressure, right? But this is just a passion project. But at your leisure, you know, please do all the YouTube stuff. Here's a subscribe button, like button, all that stuff too. There we go. As you can tell from finding these older things for you, it's definitely the passion of this channel. It's even where its name comes from too. The worst thing about new books, right? It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jean Gilbert, who says that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old stuff, right? And there's definitely some old stuff that we might have forgotten about, and the passion for the new. Not that it's bad, but you get the idea. Right? But these things are standing on the shoulders of giants, so let's check out those giants, like the Lovecrafts in the world. So check them out all up and down the block, and so I hope you'll enjoy it a lot. And then I just want to thank you, for taking some time out of your day and just investing, right? And even watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives, right? And we're pulled in so many different directions too. So in fact, you spent this time with me. That's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.